Am I the a-hole for calling out my ex-mother-in-law's infidelity after she keeps calling out my divorce? I, 25 female, am separated from my husband, 26 male, due to cheating on me with several call girls. We have a 1-year-old daughter that he only gets to see on weekends, due to him bringing home girls on days when I was working and he was supposed to be watching our daughter. My ex-mother-in-law is one of those crazy Christians you see on TV. Imagine Carrie's mom if she had a mama's boy son who obeyed her instead. And she fully blames me for the divorce, since if I wasn't such a shameful and sinful woman, he wouldn't have cheated. Due to me being agnostic and raising our daughter away from religion. I only allow her in my house because my former father-in-law is a sweet man who loves his grandchild. He survived cancer a few years back and COVID 2 years ago, and he's just too tired to stand up to her. So I don't blame him when he can't get her to be quiet. Recently, they were visiting my daughter, and once my former father-in-law took her outside, she started on her usual insults. Honestly, I was tired. I had worked a long shift the night before and I was low on sleep. So I just told her she can't judge my divorce, since she forced her husband to stay with her despite being a cheating pig like her son. Welp, I basically set off Hiroshima, and she went full on yelling, grabbed my former father-in-law, and they left. My ex-husband called me later that day about how I called his mother a whore. And honestly, he can't judge as he was one too, which led to me yelling and me just hanging up because I was too tired. Now she's calling everyone, telling people how I insulted her. And while some agree with her that divorce is worse than cheating, others say her infidelity was worse. So am I the a-hole for calling out my ex-mother-in-law cheating after she wouldn't shut up about my divorce? Edit. Father-in-law only stayed with her because she was pregnant with my husband at the time. My ex is not my former father-in-law's biological child, and no test was needed to him being half Asian, while my former in-laws were both Caucasian. He stayed to raise my ex and his daughters. His daughters are his biological kid. They're twins a few years older than me, and both are no contact with their mother. Now for the top comments. Not a-hole, but you should have gone lower. I would have said he learned the cheating from you, so shut up. I don't know. I thought cheating pig was pretty sweet. Lol. Me too. Or something along the lines of birds of a feather flock together type thing. But yes, I thought Opie's response was a classic. Not the a-hole, but honestly, stop inviting her over. If she wants to see the baby, they can see her on dad's time at the weekend. Not the a-hole. Yeah, I'll tell father-in-law that he is always welcome to see his grandchild, but she is not welcome in your home. Maybe see if he wants to leave her. He can move in and be a stay-at-home grandpa. You get support and he gets peace. This is a wonderful idea. The mama's boy can move back with mama. Father-in-law can finally enjoy being a grandpa. And mama gets a live-in, loving friend who cares for her child as much as she does. My ex-mother-in-law tracks my former father-in-law and doesn't allow him anywhere near my child without throwing a huge tantrum. I'm currently just dealing with her until I can collect enough evidence of spousal abuse to help him divorce her. He only stuck around so long due to my ex, so he could have a father. And my sister-in-law, twin older sisters, both are no contact with their mother. My brother-in-law is a lawyer and he helped me with my divorce, and now we're helping my father-in-law. I'm hoping to get full custody of my daughter when she's older. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not letting my daughter miss out on stuff just because her half-sister doesn't get to go? My husband has a daughter from a previous relationship, Maddie, 15 female. Before I even met my husband, Maddie's mother moved abroad, and Maddie decided to go with her. My husband and I have been married for 10 years now, and we have an 8-year-old daughter, Abby. Maddie visits us for the whole summer and 2 weeks in the winter, and we go to her when Abby is on spring break. We obviously save big family trips for when Maddie is with us. Same with any other once-in-a-lifetime event. However, my husband is consistently reluctant to do pretty much anything without Maddie. I try to be patient, but it feels like we can't do anything throughout the year until she gets there. An example, we live near a water park. We have season passes and take Maddie all throughout the summer. But my husband refuses to go until Maddie comes to stay with us. And he doesn't want Abby to go as it's unfair. I've tried discussing this with him, but he won't budge. Sometimes I win him over, but then he complains the entire time that Maddie isn't there. Abby loves Taylor Swift, who was going to be in the area for a limited time and before Maddie would arrive. My mom somehow scored us tickets, and Abby was so excited. My husband said it wasn't fair because Maddie also loves Taylor Swift, and she doesn't get to go. I said I'd take both girls to another concert during the summer, as there's going to be a few other artists that I know Maddie likes in the area. But my husband said it still isn't fair and tried to ban Abby from going. And because I know it will be asked, it's not possible for Maddie to fly out for the concert. She still has school and important exams that can't be missed. I put my foot down and said that life isn't always going to be fair. Maddie lives in another country, so she is going to miss out on things. It's not fair to ask Abby to give up fun opportunities because Maddie can't come. I pointed out that Maddie gets to do fun things with her mom while Abby isn't there, which I think is completely fair. But my husband said that's different because his ex isn't Abby's mom, but he's Maddie's dad. Eventually, he could see I wasn't going to give up and said yes to the concert. My mom, Abby, and I attended and we had a great time. It was Abby's first concert and she loved it. Now my husband says I bullied him into this and that if Maddie didn't get to go, Abby shouldn't. Maddie is disappointed she didn't get to go, but seems happy for her sister. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. By your husband's logic, he should object to any fun activity Maddie participates in when she is with her mother because Abby can't go. It's not different. It's the exact same thing. And he is letting his guilt negatively impact your daughter from enjoying her childhood. His daughters live in different countries and have different mothers. The daughter you share doesn't need to miss out because of it. Yes, Opie, this is a very easy issue to fix, and I hope you'll have the courage to do it. All you need to say to your husband, Maddie gets to do fun things with her mom alone, so Abby gets to do fun things with me alone. Either accept that, or I'll divorce you. Then I'll be more able to do things with Abby alone, and then you get to choose what's fair to do when you get the girls. I will not sacrifice my child's happiness for you. And honestly, you shouldn't sacrifice your child's happiness over his guilty consciousness. Not the a-hole. The longer this behavior continues, Abby will start to feel Maddie is more important to their dad. He's trying so hard to make sure Maddie doesn't miss out that he's making Abby miss out. Maddie has her life with her mom, plus her life with her dad. And what? Abby is supposed to sit around and put parts of her life on hold? Missing out on experiences and chances to learn and grow in the meantime? I don't think so. Your husband needs to reassess how he's handling things, or this could really harm Abby's future relationship with both him and her sister. Opie, this comment needs to be seen by your husband. Abby is going to question the dynamic soon enough, if not already thinking about it, and it may cause friction when Abby's older. Not the a-hole, but your husband is. Not the a-hole. Just like Maddie does things with her mother, feel free to do things with Abby as her mother. Whether your husband chooses to join or not is up to him. Your life should not be on pause, just because Maddie lives somewhere else the rest of the time. This is a great point. Does he try to make sure Maddie doesn't have fun unless Abby's there? His logic doesn't logic. Based on your post, if Maddie moved with her mother before you even met, and Abby's 8, that means Maddie was 6 or younger when she left. That was not her decision. A, she wasn't old enough for any family court to take that into consideration. B, based on your spelling and the content of your post, you're American, and she could not have legally left without your husband's specific approval. Sounds like he's trying to make up his own parental guilt and has inadvertently wound up punishing you and your daughter in the process. Not the a-hole, of course. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my wife to mind her own business? My wife, 37 female, and I, 38 male, moved to a new neighborhood about 3 years ago with our 2 kids, 8 and 6. Our neighbors across the street have 2 kids, 9 and 7, that our kids quickly became friends with. We would hang out with the parents as well, and my wife became close friends with the mom. The dad and I got along fine, but never as close as my wife and the mother. Unfortunately, about a year ago, the parents separated and the mom filed for divorce. Apparently, the dad had an affair. The mom moved out as the house was owned by the dad before they got married, and she took the kids with her. According to my wife, the mom tried to get full custody of the kids, but the dad asked for and was granted partial custody. So, he has the kids 3 weekends a month. The rest of the time they stay with their mom. I've only very briefly talked with the dad about the whole thing, as he obviously feels a lot of shame about the affair. And we aren't close enough for me to feel I can ask deep questions about it. The kids all still play together when they can. I noticed my wife would make it a point to make sure our kids invite them over to our house. I also noticed that my wife was asking neighbor kids some pretty odd and honestly rather intrusive questions about their dad. Like if he has friends over at his house when they are there, what he feeds them, what rules he has at home, or do they feel safe there, etc. This past weekend, the kids were at our house and stayed over for dinner, and my wife asked the kids if they like hanging out with their dad or mom more. I cut in before the kids could answer and changed the subject to watching a movie after dinner. As my wife and I were cleaning up, I asked her what the hell all the questions are about. She said that her friend is still trying to get full custody of their kids, and she asked my wife if she would keep an eye out for anything that she could use to build a case against the dad. I was shocked. I told her that's none of our business, and she needs to stay out of it. I told her it seems like her friend is still upset about the affair and is using that anger as justification to try and take the kids away from their father. I told her that neither of us have ever seen a single thing to indicate that this guy is a bad father. Sure, he had an affair, and that makes him a bad husband, but that has zero influence on his ability to be a good, loving father. I told her what her friend asked her to do was gross, and the fact that she's going along with it is something that I strongly disagree with. I told her she needs to mind her own business. She said she's just trying to look out for her friend, and she's trying to make sure the kids end up in a situation that is best for them. I told her that essentially spying on our neighbor is not her responsibility, and she's definitely in the wrong for asking the kids the kind of questions she does. She feels she's completely justified, but I do not. Now for the comments. Not the a-hole. Putting the kids in the middle and using them as a weapon to hurt the father is not what's best for them, even if he is a jerk. My father did this to me when my mother divorced him. It was not appropriate for a child. I am now 66, and it still bothers me. This post really bothers me. If your wife cares for these kids, she will make your home a safe place for them instead of an interrogation room. I agree. The only thing that really matters is how the kids feel, and they need to feel safe above all else. I was constantly involved in adult conversations when my parents divorced. I hope he's not the a-hole, but his wife may be. Not the a-hole. Your wife is way out of line. And more importantly, doesn't see that she's way out of line. OP, you realize that if you two ever got divorced, this is the level of viciousness she considers pretty normal. Not the a-hole, and her friend is wasting her time. Custody has been granted, and it sounds like there was a full fight and legal ruling by a judge, as mom tried to get full custody and dad was granted 3 weeks. In most places in the US, unless there is a substantial change of circumstances, you can't just get back in front of the judge for a redo. She could be appealing, but unusual. In fact, her having your wife interrogate the kids is most likely against the parenting agreement/ruling. She could help lose her friend time if the father can prove the continued violations of the agreement, badgering the kids for info. Last story. Am I the a-hole for not telling my family they wouldn't get anything of my grandpa's inheritance and doing as I see fit with it? My grandpa had stage 4 lumbar cancer and was in hospice care for the last weeks of his life. My family was mostly not involved to hostile during this. Anyways, we found our grandpa had cancer 2 years ago, and my family started to act like lunatics, but not in the way of concerned family members, but like performative a-holes. The only ones really caring were my cousins and I. You know the movies Knives Out? Like that. Every conversation, they brought up the will and asked him to give them their share as to avoid paying inheritance tax. Then, when the cancer progressed, he said he didn't want interventions and just wanted to live his last months in peace. But because there had not been any adjustments to the will, my family was pushing for a court order for further treatment. While that was happening, my aunt moved herself into the house. My cousin later told me it was so she could make claims on it after he was gone. She is not a medical professional, but she made him go keto and paleo, and he was too weak to fight her on that. So, my cousins and I started to go over and take him out. But instead of taking him to the park, we would take him to the horses, cinema, pubs, etc. Basically, he had a bucket list, and we would sneak him out to do that. We would also sneak in foods he wanted. And the night before he went to hospice care, we shared a few glasses of whiskey with him and a cigar. That night, he told us we were the sole inheritors of his estate, with our oldest cousin being the executor of it. And he asked us to not say anything, that he just needed us to sign something. He passed away a week after. And when our parents got wind of the situation and that they had only been given $5,000 each, all hell broke loose. Our parents are really mad at us. They have kicked us out and are saying that they are going to cut off contact if we don't do the right thing and give them what's theirs. Are we the a-holes for not telling them about anything and not giving them their share? Edit. Please stop giving me legal advice. We have a lawyer. This is not a question about legality but morality. This is way beyond the pay grade of this sub. You need a lawyer. Not really. It's a question about morality. What morals? Sounds more like entitlement on the part of his children to me. Your grandfather wanted his money to benefit the relatives who really cared for him, which is obviously his grandchildren, not his children. That was his right. There was a post here from a man who helped his friend care for his grandpa almost every single day for quite a while. Turned out the old man had a point system, keeping track of how often his various relatives visited him and helped him out. So when the will was read, the friend got the bulk of the estate. Opie got a sizable amount, and everyone else got a pittance, as they deserved. Your relatives don't deserve a share other than what was left to them either. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole, not even a little, but the rest of the vultures sure are. Live your life free from them, knowing that you have the means to do it. They don't deserve another thought from you. You are not the a-hole, and it is so sad that family acts like this. Look, if you did give them something other than what the will gave, you are not honoring the wishes of your granddad. It was his estate, and he decided how it was to be divided. Honor him and do not give in to greedy family. They suck. Am I the a-hole for refusing to pay my mother-in-law for babysitting our toddler? My wife, 39 female, is turning 40 in 10 days. To celebrate, we are taking a 5-day vacation, just the two of us. It's the first time she and I, 38 male, have been away like this as a couple since the birth of our son almost 4 years ago. We planned this trip months ago, and my wife asked her mom if she would be willing to come to our house and watch our son while we are away, and mother-in-law agreed right away. Mother-in-law is in her early 60s, but doesn't have a real job. She will do cleaning for a brother who owns a bunch of rental properties, and it pays her in cash. So, it's not like she has a schedule she has to clear to stay with our son for a few days. Last weekend, my wife called mother-in-law to talk to her about our trip, and to ask if there's anything mother-in-law will need/want us to stock in the house as far as food or necessities. During the conversation, mother-in-law said that she will need $100 per day from us. This is the first time she ever brought up wanting to get paid to watch our son, and my wife was caught off guard and just kind of agreed to it. But when she got off the phone and told me about it, I got upset. I told her that mother-in-law is taking advantage of the situation because she thinks we have no other options. I told her that is BS that she sprung this on us so close to our trip. And I don't think we should pay her anything. I said that I would call my parents and see if they can watch our son instead. My wife told me that mother-in-law won't ask that sort of thing unless she needs the money, and that adding $500 to our vacation trip isn't that much of a big deal. I told her that it's not about the money to me, it's about mother-in-law being sneaky and manipulative. I called my mom and asked her if they would be able to watch our son instead, and she jumped at the idea. Both my parents are recently retired, so they have plenty of free time and would love an extended grandson visit. I didn't explain the reason for the change. I just told them that things didn't work out with mother-in-law. I told my wife that my parents can watch our son instead, and that she should call her mom and tell her that we no longer need her to babysit. She said that she didn't want to do that because mother-in-law was really looking forward to seeing our son, that it has been over 6 months. I told her that if she was looking forward to it that much, she wouldn't be trying to swindle us out of $500. I told her if she didn't want to make the call, I would gladly do it. She reluctantly made a call herself, but it didn't go well. Mother-in-law got upset because we are now depriving her of seeing her grandson. My wife got emotional and ended up backtracking and said she would talk to me and see if we could work something out. After the call, she asked me if there was some way we could figure this out, and I told her we aren't changing anything again this close to our trip. She said maybe we could offer mother-in-law a lesser amount, but I reiterated that it isn't about the money. It's about mother-in-law being sneaky and trying to take advantage of us. Now for the top comments. You're the a-hole. $500 for 5 days of uninterrupted childcare is incredibly cheap. No non-family member would do it so cheaply. I'm also surprised that you don't seem to have planned to give her any money for groceries, activities, or meals out. I understand that you might have thought she was doing it for free as a relative, and that $500 may not be in the budget. I understand why you might decide to save money by having the other grandparents watch the kids. Where you turn into the a-hole is calling her a sneaky swindler or acting like she has no right to payment. The anger you are expressing seems massively over the top for the situation at hand. No non-family member would do it so cheaply. I don't know about that. My wife and I have watched our friends' kids for long weekends before. Never asked for payment. I don't know what kind of people so many of you commenters associate with, that everything has to be a transaction. And you can't just do something for people you care about out of kindness. That's what I was thinking. What kind of relationship do these commenters have? Are they all transactional? 5 days is nothing when you haven't seen your grandson in 6 months. It is not like it's a baby. It's a 4-year-old. Not the a-hole. If she needed/wanted to be paid, it should have been discussed up front. It's not something you bring up last minute. And she should not be offended about being turned down and try to guilt trip Opie and wife into letting her babysit. Not the a-hole. Just confirm that your parents won't want any monetary payment for the expected expenses. Not a chance. Even if I offered, they would refuse to accept anything. Helping family has never been transactional for me. Next story. Am I the a-hole for giving future mother-in-law 3 days to pay me for a new wedding dress, or else I showed a family a photo of her wearing it? So, I'm getting married to my fiancé soon. I bought my wedding dress weeks ago. My future mother-in-law kept pestering me about it trying it on, but I firmly refused. I finally shut it down after she offered me $100 to let her try it on. Her reasoning for persisting so much? She says it's because of her love for wedding dresses and her obsession with them. Fast forward to yesterday. I came home from work early and I found my fiancé at home. He freaked out after seeing me and tried to prevent me from going into my room while trying to text somebody on his phone. I opened the door and was shocked to see his mom standing there wearing my dress. I instantly pulled out my phone and took a photo of her in it. She and my fiancé freaked out after I told her she needed to pay me for a new dress in 3 days, or else I'll show the whole family the photo. She started crying and then left, and my fiancé blew up at me saying I can't be serious, and that I overreacted because his mom just wanted to try the dress on. No harm done. But I refused to listen to him, because in my opinion, the dress should only be worn by the bride and the bride only. Quite frankly, I felt disgusted looking at the dress again. I don't want it anymore. And so I think it's fair that she pays me after she ruined it for me. He yelled at me and told me to wake up and stop treating his mom like that, as if she was an enemy. We had a fight after he failed to get me to back down, and has been staying with his mom since then. I felt awful, but I spent $3,000 on this dress and worked hard to get it. I can't stand looking at it, but people in my family think I'm escalating things and risking my relationship with not only future mother-in-law, but my fiancé as well. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole, but are you sure you want to marry this guy? He stood guard outside your bedroom so that his mother could try on your wedding dress. Do you think he will ever stand up for you against her? Send a photo to everyone invited, with an announcement that regretfully, you will no longer be participating in the wedding but you wish the couple the best. Not the a-hole, but the problem isn't just your future mother-in-law, it's your fiancé. He let her in. He was going to lie and hide from you that she tried it on. He is defending her actions. He disrespected your belongings. He didn't care about your feelings, and still doesn't. He has shown he doesn't care about your boundaries. He decided his mother's want to try it on is more important than your feelings, and that won't go away when you're married. Personally, my petty self would call off the engagement, and the announcement of that would be the picture of his mom in the wedding dress stating, "Unfortunately, I cannot marry fiancé." As it appears, he's already married and emotionally committed to his mother. At the bare minimum, you should postpone until he can respect your boundaries. Do every bit of this. My petty gremlin heart loves it and wants to be friends with you. I thank my mother for the shiny spine she taught me to have, and this is exactly what I do. Thankfully, my own future mother-in-law is a literal angel who makes me glass pendants and sends presents for my dog on special occasions. Update: My fiancé called and offered to pay for the dress himself so we could end the conflict. But he wants me to 1. Hand him my phone so he can delete the photo himself. 2. Swear that I don't have any copies to use against his mom later. 3. Apologize to his mom. 4. And lastly, he asked that I quit his family group chat and log out of Facebook for at least a month. I haven't responded yet, and I'm not sure if I'll agree, because I don't want him to pay for it. I want his mom, the one who wore it, to pay for it. Not being vicious, but trying to hold her accountable. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my boyfriend that I don't want to take care of his son anymore? My boyfriend 30 has a son 6. When we started our relationship, he was 2. His mother didn't want me to be involved in the care of their child, and she and I have never really seen eye to eye. In the beginning, it went really well, and his son was here every other week. But the older he got, the less time he has with his mom, and he's with us 100% now since his mom was arrested a year ago. In the beginning, we divided the chores and childcare equally. But 4 months ago, my boyfriend got an opportunity to work on 3 projects, which could lead him to a big promotion. He's always working late, either from home or in the office, and I've been doing all the chores and childcare since then. I cook, clean, get his son ready in the morning and drop him off at daycare. The only thing my boyfriend has to do is get his son ready for bed. I told him last Friday that from Monday on, I won't be doing the childcare anymore. He got angry, and he said that we're family and we need to support each other. He told me he needed me right now, and that I just need to be patient. I replied saying that this is his son, and he needed to do the majority of the childcare. I've been doing all of it, and it's not fair since he is his father. He then went into the other room, got his son, and told his son that mommy says she doesn't want to take care of you anymore, while pointing at me. I said to not call me that because I'm not his mother, but his son started crying. I of course comforted and apologized to his son, because it wasn't my intention to upset him. My boyfriend is still mad and has been taking care of his son but won't speak to me. I didn't think it was unreasonable. He is the parent and needs to do more of the childcare. And also, the mom doesn't even want me to be involved in childcare, so I'm already overstepping her wishes. My sister is on his side and says I'm at fault since he and I are a family now and he needs my support right now, and that the mother's wishes don't matter at all right now. Like, I don't think this was at all unreasonable, but I'm not sure if I was unreasonable here. Am I the a-hole? Edit. I see a lot of you asking if I work. I give at-home care to the elderly and disabled. I've lowered the number of hours that I work to 20 to 28 hours per week. How demanding my work is truly depends on the day and which client I have on my schedule. Sometimes I have clients in my schedule that don't require a lot of time, and I'm finished by 12 p.m. And the other times I have to work until 8 p.m. It really varies per day. Not the a-hole. Mommy says she doesn't want to take care of you anymore. WTF? You need to break up with this man yesterday. This. How cruel can you be to take your anger at your partner out on a child? Leave him. Especially a child who almost certainly has abandonment issues, given that his bio mom is in prison and who has barely spent any time with his dad for the past 4 months because he's working all the time. This child is going to need so much therapy one day. Exactly. It's bad enough that he pulled his manipulative BS on her, but him hurting and scaring his child in the process is beyond cruel. Not the a-hole. Don't hide behind what the mom would want. Whether you are the stepmom or not is irrelevant here. He's dumping all of the domestic work on you and that is unfair, whether you are a stepmom or a bio mom or whatever. If that is not the life you want, you need to break up and leave, because he's obviously benefiting from you providing full-time childcare and domestic labor, and won't want to give it up because it has value, and he's extracting that value from you and doesn't want to start paying someone to do what you do for free. What he did to the child is such an abusive thing to do too. He doesn't care about the kid at all, just about using the child to beat you into submission with. This relationship is over. If you stay, this is the life you'll have. To add to this, Opie's work taking care of the kid in home allows the boyfriend to work on his projects that are leading to his promotions. What is Opie getting out of this? She's not married to him, so if they broke up, she'd have nothing to show from her time being a free nanny, while he has benefited greatly. He's taking advantage of Opie. Last story. Am I the a-hole for saying again after my sister announced that she's pregnant with twins? My 21 female sister, 32 female, has been married to her husband, 33 male, for 8 years. They already have 6 kids total, the last one born 5 months ago. Yesterday, my sister had announced that she's 3 months pregnant with twins. And while everyone was congratulating her, I said out loud, "Oh my God, again? Can't your stupid husband leave you alone?" I didn't mean to say it out loud, but it slipped out. And my sister looked at me angrily and literally dragged me into another room and asked, "Why the heck did you say that?" I told her that she and her husband have been pregnant every year for the last 8 years and that she needs to take a break. I was worried about her having so many babies in such a short time, and I didn't want anything bad happening to her. She then said, "How about you leave us alone and worry about your own issues? This is my life, so buzz off." My mother told me that I should apologize for being rude, but I told her that I won't apologize for showing concern. But now I just can't help thinking that maybe I was being an a-hole and sticking my nose into other people's business. I was just worried, but maybe I was being a jerk. Am I the a-hole? Edit. Yes, I do babysit my sister's kids sometimes, but all 6 of them at the same time whenever they need me to and if I'm available. They pay me $30 to $50 per hour, but their kids are pretty destructive, and they don't respect other adults like they're supposed to, so it's a full chore watching after them. I'm aware that the stupid husband comment was inappropriate, but I have almost no filter, and my stupid mouth says stuff before my brain can stop it. You're the a-hole. I said out loud, "Oh my God, again?" Rude and a-hole behavior, but somewhat understandable. Can't your stupid husband leave you alone? What is wrong with you? You said this out loud and still think you may not be the a-hole? Get out of here with that nonsense. I feel the "you're the a-hole" could come with a caveat. Sure, it was rude, but would be interested to hear more about her sister's financial situation and whatnot. 8 kids is a lot, and as crazy as it sounds, they're all near each other in age. I feel bad for the kids. They're gonna have to be sharing rooms, hand-me-downs, etc. Kids are expensive, let alone 8. I get why you would say that, but their financial situation doesn't matter in this context, in my opinion at least. You're the a-hole. Look, I don't fault you for thinking that. All of my sister-in-laws are prolific Mormon housewives. I have so many nieces and nephews, it's obscene. My wife makes jokes about the 8th kid rappelling down the umbilical cord or falling out when we're alone together. But in front of the rest of the family, we offer our congratulations. She could be perfectly healthy. Sure, maybe not, but she is right. That is none of your concern. If she's not having massive issues with the pregnancies and her husband has never given you abusive vibes, their incessant breeding is really none of your business. Just apologize and explain that you're initially concerned, but now realize that is none of your business. Maybe throw in that you were being biased because you could never have so many children, unless something hinky was going on, but you realize that your sister isn't you, and that you are just happy to know that she's happy and healthy, and really feel bad about embarrassing her and yourself in front of the family. Am I the a-hole for snapping at my mother for asking me to cancel my trip to babysit my nephew? My 19 female cousin, 28 female, gave birth to a baby boy 4 months ago. For 2 months, she's been dumping my nephew at our house to babysit him because she needs a job as soon as she can start working again. Next week, I have to go for a 5-day trip to a city where I'm starting university in a few weeks to set up my room in my friend's apartment. It's new, and I already called people from the internet provider we'll be using to help set up the router and TV. I'll be alone for the whole duration of my stay, and the city is 6 hours away, so nobody can help me out. My mother asked me this morning to babysit my nephew next Tuesday as I'd already be at the city because my cousin has 2 job interviews. I asked the mandatory, am I really the only person who can look after him? And to my shock, no. Turns out my older sister, my cousin's husband, and her in-laws are all available. I laughed in her face and told her no way am I doing that. And she started screaming at me for being an ungrateful and irresponsible brat. I snapped and told her I don't care to look after someone else's kid, and that I have better things to do than babysit a 4-month-old whose own dad is available to care for him. My mother then argued it's his only day off, and her in-laws are conservative and think the father shouldn't be bathing a kid or changing his diaper and that I should be compassionate because of that. I just told her I don't give a crap and that's not my business. She later tried asking nicely for me to move my trip and I snapped, again, saying I don't care for them enough to do that. Am I the a-hole? Edit. People told me he's actually my second cousin, not nephew, so thank you for correcting me. Also to add, this isn't the first time I've been asked to sacrifice something for the family. To explain why I snapped almost immediately. Now for the top comments. So your mom thinks being conservative means a husband and father can be irresponsible, and a random teenage cousin should cancel plans to watch a kid that isn't theirs? Gross. Stand your ground. Not a hole. Husband is conservative, as in conserving his energy. Right, LMFAO. Lazy idiot. Like, sir, that is your kid. Not a hole. Guess what? He doesn't get days off being a dad. Not your baby, not your problem. Make it clear that if you are going to be expected to take care of the baby, then they can expect you will never be available. Don't ask if there's anyone else available to watch the baby anymore, because they'll just lie to you since now they know you have a spine. If they are conservative, then as a grandmother, it is mother-in-law and your mother's duty to help her raise that child. A mother's job is never done. Their views, not mine. Not a hole. I'm curious to what your mother's argument are against your sister, your mother or your cousin's mother-in-law watching that child. My sister is bipolar and in a depression episode, which I understand. She avoided saying why the in-laws can't. My mom can't because she works as a doctor and has long hours. To me, it sounds there are still enough adults who could look after the children. It is also very unconservative that your cousin's husband doesn't provide enough so the cousin didn't have to work and didn't need the interviews. In turn, he needs to be unconservative enough to parent his child. It seems likely that your mother is volunteering for you these duties more so than them asking, despite having other people who can watch the kid. Actually, you just pointed it out to me. I enrolled in a university for architecture in a sexist country. I don't and never wanted kids, and I look unconventional. My extended family always filled my parents' heads with how I should have been taught conservative values, even though my parents aren't conservative. They might be trying to get me to like kids enough to have my own one day. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for reporting my daughter's car missing after her stepbrother took it without permission? I got my daughter, 17, a new car 2 months ago. Her stepbrother, 19, has gone crazy about it ever since and has been attempting to drive it. But my daughter made it clear she doesn't want him to. He'd refer to it as our car and would get mad when my daughter decorates it with pink and add teddy bears and necklaces as decoration. He'd get angry and say that she was ruining their car and embarrassing in front of his friends, although she never let him get inside of it. I asked my husband to talk to his son, but he said that my daughter and I need to chill. Fast forward to this past Friday. My daughter called me at work saying her stepbrother took her car while she was upstairs after he demanded the keys and she refused. I called his phone, but he didn't respond. I called my husband and told him what happened. I told him that he needed to go bring the car back or I'd have to call the police. He called his son, then called me back saying his son was just taking it to go to the movies with his friends and will bring it back at 9 p.m. I couldn't wait, but I wanted him one more time to bring it back, but he stalled. So I called the police and reported it stolen. My stepson was picked up from his location and brought into the local police station. We got the car back, but it was a mess. The decorations and toys in it were gone. My daughter didn't stop crying about it. My husband blew up at me on the phone for calling the police on his son and causing him to spend the night there. They both came home the next day, and a huge argument ensued with my husband, saying I made a mistake reporting the car missing, and said that I escalated the situation and that I was the one who created it, and should have got his son a similar car or at least told my daughter to share. Otherwise, we wouldn't be dealing with his son's temper tantrums. The house has been full of tension since then and everyone is just mad at each other. I didn't want police involvement, but seeing my daughter cry, I just couldn't take it. Now for the top comments. This is weird. For the simple act of reporting the car stolen when it was in fact stolen, not the a-hole. But for marrying and subjecting yourself, and more importantly your daughter, to the environment created by your husband and stepson, you're the a-hole. Get a divorce. and get them as far away from your daughter as possible. Exactly what I was gonna say. Right. The fact that the husband is gaslighting her is crazy. If he wants his son to have a car, him and his son's mother can buy it. It's not an OP to buy her husband's adult son a car. We now know where his son got his entitlement behavior from. Not a hole. You told your husband to get the car back or you'd call the police. He and his son ignored you. You called the police. No one should be surprised. Why doesn't your husband buy son a car? It sounds like your finances are separated. Does the kid work, go to school, do anything responsible with his life? Well, not exactly. He told her he went to the movies and would bring it back about 9. In other words, OP doesn't matter. Her threats weren't taken seriously and he got called on it. Who does the father think he is, degrading OP's instructions on what to do with a car that isn't his? I don't know why they think they have the rights to this car. I don't know why they haven't done the obvious thing and get one themselves, but I'm wary of this whole dynamic. Man, he's 19. He's a legal adult, and he stole from his minor step sibling. Man needs to man up and figure out his tantrum nonsense isn't going to blow over so easily. And now he's on the hook for legal consequences because he is, in fact, a legal adult. Not the whole. OP's problems with her stepson will only escalate from here due to his entitlement and her husband's lack of accountability for him. They aren't 2 years old. What is mine is not yours. He is too old to go on a jealous rage and throw tantrums. Was he the kid that have to have his own present at someone else's birthday too? Next story. Am I the a-hole for being furious with my wife for returning our daughter's birthday gift? I, 40 male, and my wife, 41 female, have been married for 12 years. We have a daughter and son together. Our daughter is turning 8 and has been wanting a Nintendo Switch. My wife got laid off from her job and has become more frugal with money. I'm still working and I'm happy to provide for the family. I have no issue with saving money. We have been planning daughter's birthday party and my wife has made it clear that the budget is $50. She bought all the decorations from the dollar store, which I didn't see an issue with. She told my daughter she could only invite 5 of her friends as it would save money on the amount of food we would have to spend. I bought the cake and the pizza. Daughter told us that she wanted a Nintendo Switch. My wife looked up the price for one and told her that it was too expensive, but I found a Switch online for a good price and purchased it. Her birthday party was this past weekend. She was so excited seeing that we got her a Switch. When everything calmed down, my wife started yelling at me for purchasing the console. I told her that I got the system for a good price. Daughter started school this year. When I picked her up from school, she went up to her bedroom to play with the Switch. That's when she starts crying and tells me the Switch was missing. I looked through her entire room and couldn't find it anywhere. My wife comes home handing me some money and tells me that she sold the Switch and got the money back. I started screaming at her for selling the Switch and upsetting our daughter. Her reasoning was that daughter wasn't letting brother use the console and that I spent money we didn't have. She packed a bag and is currently staying with her sister. I have purchased my daughter another Switch along with some games. Sister-in-law thinks I am being a horrible husband and not respecting my wife's decision on saving money. So to recap, you bought your daughter a gift that she wanted. Your wife threw a fit because you can't afford it. And instead of taking the issue out on you or temporarily making a budget change to recap the loss, though it seems money at the moment isn't a huge issue, she instead took it out on your daughter and returned the gift? Not the whole. Hard not the whole. Solely for the fact she took it out on her daughter. What do you mean money doesn't seem like a huge issue? They spend $50 on a birthday party. I'm still working and I'm happy to provide for the family. I have no issue with saving money. This indicates to me they aren't living paycheck to paycheck. A Switch costs anywhere from $150 to $250. And sure, that's not a small chunk of change, but it's not life-changing money. If they can afford to save, he's not doing something that indicates that they are going to go homeless if they buy their daughter a birthday present she really wants. Not the whole. Wife was so far out of line, I can't even. Returning the console on day 2 or 3? She was intent on punishing both you and your daughter, and there's really no excuse for what she did. Sure, you spent money she didn't want you to spend, but returning the 8-year-old's gift after it had been gifted was cruel. Your wife is clearly way more stressed about money than you are. Does she know something you don't? Are you implying she might have some secret debt? Might not be a secret, but something OP doesn't realize is as important as it actually is. Something like the difference of knowing a furnace being old and knowing a furnace will need replacing ASAP. Everyone sucks here. You two are married or divorced? Where's the communication? Why is your wife so paranoid about finances while you're seemingly blasé? Losing an income's not a small thing. And you don't say how much you make or where you live, just that you're working and happy to provide. You two need to be on the same page, and not going behind each other's backs because you think you're right and the other is wrong. Talk to your wife about her money concerns and a budget, and come to an agreement before making large purchases. I don't know what the good deal on the Switch was, but I expect it wasn't under $50 and would be surprised if you paid less than $200, honestly. Not to mention games. Last story. Am I the a-hole for telling my half-sister why my extended family were not at her birthday party? My half-sister is 7. She and I share the same dad but have different moms. My mom died when I was 5. My dad married my half-sibling's mom when I was 8. They have 4 kids together, ages 7, 5, 3, and 1. I have more family than they do. My mom came from a large family and had a lot of siblings, cousins, etc., as well as parents and grandparents who outlived her. So I have benefited from that. My dad came from a family who are in and out of jail, and he cut them out years ago. His wife is an orphan who was an only child and hasn't got a good relationship with her extended family. So my half-siblings have no extended family. It has been a point of contention between me and my dad. Me and his wife, my dad and my extended family, my dad's wife and my extended family. Dad thinks they should have expanded the family with my half-siblings. He believes they owed them a family. His wife believes the same. My extended family do not, and neither do I. The bad blood existed even before my half-siblings were born. Before she died, Mom left her parents and her sister in charge of certain things she wanted me to have and not my dad. Apparently, she told him that getting sick so young and knowing she would leave me when I was so little made her realize how anything could happen. And while she trusted my dad, if he remarried, she didn't want his future spouse left in charge of her keepsakes. She did not want some random woman in the future holding onto items she treasured and wanted me to have. My dad was so unhappy about it, and conflict arose there. I think all of this has contributed to my dad and his wife setting my half-siblings up with the expectation that my extended family would be theirs, and that they should be coming to stuff like birthday parties and sending them gifts and taking them out for day trips like they do with me. Dad told her he told my grandparents about her birthday party, and so she waited for them to show up. And when they didn't, she was upset. She had friends there and friends of the family, but not much in the way of family. She got upset and asked me why they didn't come. I had already voiced to my dad that he was being cruel, and I told his wife just as much, but they said it was my grandparents who were being cruel. So I decided to tell her that she was not related to my extended family. I explained to her that they didn't come because they are not friends of her parents, and they are not part of her or their family. I explained how they are my family because of my mom and how that worked. She looked so surprised to realize it didn't make them her family too, and hurt because she realized she was lied to about having lots of family. My dad and his wife were so angry at me for talking to her about it. They said at 17 I should have been more sensible to know it wasn't my place and was cruel to leave her with. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. They are being cruel to her by setting up this family dynamic. While telling her the truth hurt her feelings in the moment, it was a more loving thing to do. If you want to comfort your sister, tell her that while your extended family may be different, that you'll always be her family. That you and her parents love her and that she'll always have family around her even if they look a little different than yours. Tell her that love isn't measured in number of people giving it, but by the quality of love given. And as for your dad, while I understand that it's hurt that it wasn't kept in the fold after your mom's death, it sounds like his bitterness about it is leaking into what he's telling your sister. She's only 7 and shouldn't be used as a guilt pawn. He needs to work on building community and friendships that can replace bio family if he cares that badly about a network for her. But it sounds like he doesn't actually care about her having a family. He just cares about his hurt ego. Not the a-hole, assuming you told them gently and not in a mean or gloating way. It's a truth they need to understand. It may hurt a bit, but in the end, what would hurt more would be thinking that their own grandparents didn't like them. For some reason, your father seems to think that when he married your mother, her parents adopted him for life. While sometimes that kind of relationship will form, clearly your mom's parents don't feel the same way. And that's their right. He certainly can invite them to events with his new family, but it is up to them whether they want to take on the role that he wants them to take. He can't force it on them. The fact that your mother felt it was necessary to put her heirlooms in the hands of her family suggests that she may have had some inkling that your father would not be able to respect boundaries. And clearly she was right. And either way, he owes his kids the truth. I was as gentle as I could be while not being unclear about it, because I didn't want to add confusion to her on top of all the sadness.